Welcome to Women in Leadership Global's Leadership Excellence in the Spotlight. And every month, we have the absolute pleasure of recognizing an inspiring leader in the industry, somebody who embodies leadership excellence. And this month, January 2026, Women in Leadership Global is recognizing you, Sarah. So thank you for being here. And not only do we get to recognize you, but also we want to learn from you to get a sense of how did you get to the level that you're at now? And what does it take to operate at your level? So I've prepared 10 short questions, 8 quick fire ones. So I will take us through those in order that we can get to hear more about your career journey.
I really appreciate being here, and I look forward to it.
Okay, and Sarah doesn't know what questions are coming, so this is interesting. And so my first question: when I work with extraordinary leaders, well, there's a great saying, "Win the morning, win the day," and I think how we start out our day strongly influences our decision making, our emotional regulation. What does the first 30 minutes of your day look like?
So it's going to sound sad because I do check my email as one of the very first things that I do when I wake up. I do get ready very quickly, and then that's my best work. The first 30 minutes, I go alone in the calm, and I make tea, and even though I'm not British. And that's the time when I will do the highest quality work.
So the calm, being in the calm before the chaos of the day kickstarts.
That's right. And to the extent that I have like a speaking event, to the extent that I need to do some thinking, to the extent that I need to review a document, I am incredibly efficient for that very first moment of the day, like before I actually get to the office. And I do that alone at home early. I've gotten to enjoy it, actually.
Yeah, there is something about the peacefulness of the morning. And you said tea. What is your go-to tea?
Oh, great.
Oh, great.
I am French. I am not British.
And
No milk.
no milk. And dare I ask, tea bags or loose leaf?
Of course, loosely.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be loose leaf.
I will say, look, here I'm at the office, and you will see that I have customized my teapot. It's a very important part of my life.
Well, look, when we think about your life and your career, I'm sure you've had many mentors that have been part of your journey. Who has been your most significant mentor, and what did they teach you?
Wow, that's a hard one because I actually think that I cannot winnow it down to one.
Okay.
I was just writing earlier to Mary Erdos. Marianne Lake has been extraordinary. She taught me finance, and so as a CFO, if I had to do just one, I think I would have to take Marianne Lake. Gordon Smith took a chance on me because I had never managed more than 50 people, and he gave me 1,100 people. Without that, I wouldn't have had the opportunities that I've had after that. And before that, people like Fernando Rivas were my mentors. John Simmons and Doug Pitno is the one who got me into IR when I had no idea I wanted to do it. So sorry, I did not answer the question. Because I gave you more than one. But the reason why I did is because there was a lot to learn from a lot of people. And I actually think that as I forged who I am, I'm a little bit of Marianne, I'm a little bit of Doug Petno, I'm a little bit of a lot of people, which makes me myself.
Isn't it interesting that we can often, as you said, draw upon the qualities and the behaviors of many and put our own imprint on it? And I hear, Gordon he believed in you. So there was a belief of he could see what was possible for you. Marianne was a great teacher. So I'm curious, having myself worked at JP Morgan and Mary wins so many awards, in the industry. What did you learn from her?
So when I was coached on public speaking, I was told, look at this Davos video of Jamie and Mary. Jamie is amazing, and he's been important to my career. But I will never actually learn anything in public speaking from Jamie because we're so different. I come at it from being a different size, a different presence. And Mary was the person that I was supposed to emulate, but she's become a lot more than that. She, of course, is a role model, but her voice was a voice that I could emulate also. So there are lots of different things. I have utter respect for all of the people I have named, including her.
Yeah, thank you. And look, there are many aunts and uncles in our careers that will give us advice. Some of it's welcomed, others maybe not so all the time. But what is one lesson people don't often share about leadership, but you wish they would?
What almost broke me made me stronger. I almost quit 3 months into JP Morgan investment banking. I was working, if there is such thing as working too hard, I was doing that. I had broken up with my now husband, and I was doing a vacuum to be able to just work, and that was very, very unhealthy. And that lesson that, in fact, if you pace yourself, you do much better work. It is a good lesson, especially for people who are trying to do a lot. I've spent probably the rest of my career trying to slow down, and I'm not very good at it. I am still not very good at it. But I'm trying to do one thing at a time, trying to slow down, trying to take the time to have the small talk, all of those things, trying to sleep, trying to be healthy, all of those things I was not very good at the beginning of my career.
So have health KPIs in place then, so sleep, knowing what the fuel is for the bigger picture, and pace yourself. And I think in the world that we live in today, when things are moving faster than ever, that feels a really important lesson. And how do you pace yourself? Like, what is one thing you consciously have to do, day to day, to make sure you can moderate that pace?
So there is like the very small trick, which is like really pause before speaking. But in general, I also listen to my husband. My husband is a very good guide of this makes no sense. You're not that important. You're not that busy. And so you don't have time to do that. And that is okay. And so I did take all of my holidays over the years, even when I was in investment banking, analyst, associate, VP, GMD, and all of those things, which sometimes you don't remember that life will go on if you don't show up, that you should do this personal event, that you should pace yourself. And the people in your family, whether they are your kids or whether they are in my case, my husband, have been very good at reminding me that there are some important things I need to do that are not called work.
It'll be interesting if he listens to this. Whereas I listen to my husband. I think most husbands, I'm sure mine would love to hear that I listen to him.
He doesn't think I do enough, but at least for that I do.
But I think those closest to us can often be our truth tellers, and they are people that we trust. So when they're giving us feedback, it comes from a place of love and good intent. And we talked, that it is, we live in a world that goes at pace. When you're under stress, and I think stress, we can all agree, comes with the territory of leadership. How do you compensate?
So I will say, if I have a strength, is that I do not stress very much. I try to really prepare when I want to stress. And people say that, but I really do it. I will maybe sleep less to be more prepared, because overall, that will make me more relaxed. And so I will really always choose preparation over stress. And I think it might be easy to say, because some people will stress either way. But once I feel ready, I don't have a reason to stress, and therefore I don't.
Yeah, I suppose it's always knowing the things are stressors. And if your stressor is not feeling prepared enough, then actually, even if it means sleeping less, but doing the preparation, you're going to show up as your best self.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, what's very important is to make sure that I have done everything I can so that I represent my firm well, I represent myself well, I represent those that I represent well. And once I've done all that, if I say something that's not perfect, it's that community that's saying it, because I am on message. And at that point, there is that shared responsibility. And so I didn't play sport when I was a kid, but my kids play soccer. And I think if you are playing soccer, you win and you lose together. And I try to do that through my preparation.
I'm curious, when you hire for your team, what are the qualities that you look for?
I look for EQ, IQ, and heart. Everybody knows that you need IQ to get the job done. Everybody knows that just the IQ is not going to get anything done. And the EQ is incredibly important. Heart is really important because it's two things. It's putting your heart into it. We talked about preparations. That is heart. And also having a good heart. And so EQ, IQ, and heart.
I love that. I haven't had the triangulation of the three before, but I think, what a perfect blend. I mean, one question, I know we're over time, but it was just about self-doubt. I think people can look at leaders who operate at the highest levels, and when they see them in town halls, or they see them at investor calls, polished, poised, in control, calm, articulate, there can be an assumption that, well, clearly they never have like self-doubt. They never second guess themselves, because no one sees the inner. We compare our inner with, the leader's outer. All of us can look on the, LinkedIn. We can get a sense of your career arc. There's many things we can find out about you. What is one thing people wouldn't find out if they Google searched you?
One thing that people will not know is how much time I spend preparing. I don't believe that you become naturally a good speaker. I was coached. In fact, I was actually a pretty bad speaker. I don't believe that you know everything about a topic without spending the time reading and not knowing one answer, but the 10 answers behind the answer, so that when you say something, it actually really means something to you. And so I love to learn, but I do spend a lot of time preparing. I will tell you, I don't think I'm the only one. And I think that people don't appreciate how much goes into preparation at every level.
Yeah, it's the iceberg, isn't it? I think people see the 1/7 and they don't see the 6/7 of, all the extra work that goes into it.
Yeah.
And I think to your point as well, they're preparing for the questions. We often prepare for the questions we might get asked, but also it's preparing for the questions that maybe we don't want to be asked, so we can be bulletproof if those questions come up.
And that's where the confidence comes from. Because at the end of the day, pretty easy to have self-doubt if you only know the answer to the question that is planned.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. So preparation is king. ROP, return on preparation.
No, that I'm like a big buyer of this one.
Yeah. It's interesting. One of the things where knowing that you're French, that when I compensate when I'm stressed, I don't watch much TV, but recently I've been watching Emily in Paris. And have you watched it?
Of course.
And I imagine pretty much everyone in the world, especially Americans, must be wanting to go to Paris. It just looks so beautiful in the series.
I do love Paris. I love Paris. I am glad that I am in the US. I think it's a great place to raise the kids. And I think I have the best of both worlds, with vacationing in Paris and in Corsica, and living in the US.
Yeah. I said, it's for anyone listening, it's certainly been a good outlet for me for decompression. And we are, as a community, Women in Leadership Global, we're writing a book. We write a book every couple of years where it's our aim to democratize the wisdom and lessons from the top and cascade that down to the emerging leaders and the next generations. Many of the community associate with being overachievers. And with many qualities, there can be a strength, but overextended, there can be a shadow side. And sometimes that shadow is not always healthy. How do you identify with that word overachiever? Like, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so sometimes over means too much, actually. And overachieving means over, which probably means like too much. Achieving, I think, is essential because it gives you a sense of impact, a sense of purpose, a sense of reward. And that's amazing. I think when it crosses to over, it's back to that advice I was giving of the younger self that I was. I was trying to overachieve. And in fact, I was underachieving. And
Yeah.
so finding that right balance between I am prepared, I can do what is on my plate and do it all well, versus I am trying to do too much, and either I will do that at the detriment of my health or of my personal life or of my of the quality of the work I do. That's where overachieving is too much. But I like to achieve,
Yeah.
and I want to make sure that I continue to achieve without crossing the line to over.
Yeah, and it's that mindfulness, isn't it? In the pursuit of what we want, let's not cross the line and not create what we want by doing the things that are moving us into that unhealthy place.
And I think when you think about the stress, which was another of your question, in that regard, like if you are trying to achieve so much that it's stressful, then you're trying to achieve too much. If you have the time to have the preparation to be healthy, to be proud of your relationship with people, whether it's at work, whether it's in your personal life, while achieving, then you're achieving something.
Yeah. I just think it's such an important relationship for people to consider, because when it's unhealthy, like unhealthy is unhealthy, and that has consequences. Look, when you think about your career, what are you most proud of? Because we're not always our biggest cheerleaders, and it's really good to reflect back to be like, you know what, there are many milestones that I've accomplished that I want to give myself a bit of pat on the back for.
So, I mean, the first thing I would say is I'm really proud that I have both a personal and a professional, and that I didn't have to sacrifice one for the other. I actually had no idea what I wanted to do for a living. I ended up at JP Morgan very randomly at the beginning of my career. Thought I was there for a summer internship. Then I thought I was there for an analyst program. And then at some point I was there 25 years. And at some point I was in finance. And at some point I became a CFO. And here I am. And so I didn't have a goal that I was going to be anything. The only goal I had at some point was that I was going to be a VP, because like that, I didn't need to go back to business school because that was an equivalent title that was above associate, which is where you recruit the people. But like I never actually had lofty goals at the beginning of my career. But then I ended up having goals along the way. But one goal that I always had was to have a family. And I never, ever let go of that goal for the other goals.
I love that. And I remember my coach once said to me, take the next step and the next step will reveal itself. Because she said some people want to know A to B, B to C, C to D. And she said sometimes you take the next step and then more information, more experience. Well, you have more experience, and then that can help inform what does the next step look like.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, when I arrived in the US and I saw what women MD were in investment banking, I was not a little intimidated. I was 100% sure that I had nothing in common with those women and that I could absolutely never be one of them, that I didn't know how to drink beer, I didn't know how to play golf, I didn't know how to entertain clients, I didn't know how to do any of that until I did. Not golf. Never did the golf part.
Well, look, I want to do a quick fire. So these are just sentences or short answers to hear more about you. And if it's a question you can't answer, pass. We'll go on to the next one. First album you ever bought?
Billy Joel.
Billy Joel. What is on your nightstand? What book or what are you reading?
And so right now we're reading the Iliad. We just went to Greece, and I felt that was the right book to read. It has not been that book on my nightstand. It's whatever book I'm reading right now.
When you have 10 minutes, what do you do for yourself?
That's a great question. Drink water, which sometimes, or drink tea. Usually it's tea.
And one lesson your children have learned from you?
I think that they value my work ethic, and they've learned that everybody has their homework to do. I do mine, they do theirs. I think family values. I'm very close to my parents. I'm very close to my family, and it's an important part of who we are. And I think investing in that is really important.
You mentioned your parents. One thing your parents are proud of when it comes to you, of course.
So parents usually don't narrow it down to one thing for any of their kids. But I think that they would start with education. That was always incredibly important to them. It's how they um, started in life, and they kept that bar high for us. And then I would certainly say that they care a lot about the fact that I've got an important personal life. I love my kids. They're proud of their grandkids. They are incredibly nice to their grandkids. They were tougher with us, and they are really happy to see that I've been able to have a career in the U.S. I don't think that they knew what it meant when I went to the U.S. They were very scared of the distance, but we've stayed very, very close, and I think they're very happy with that.
We talked about what one thing your children have learned from you. One thing you've learned from your children.
So first of all, um, that each person is so incredibly themselves while having that common trunk. I think that's like extraordinary to see how three kids that I think we raised the same way could be such different persons and such extraordinary examples of um, different things to achieve. And so my daughter has a voice; she can sing, and I that I could never learn that from her. My boys are very good at sports. I wish I could learn that from them. But I love that my kids are better than me in most regards.
Love
I
that.
say most because I'm so better than them at finance.
And
It's
if
the
you,
only one I can think of, honestly.
and if you hadn't got into finance, what profession would you have pursued?
So I thought I wanted to be an auctioneer when I was 14.
Interesting.
I used to have, with my parents had a country house, and there was this little auction place in this little town in Normandy. And that's what we did on our weekends. We went there, and then we would have like a pastry. And that was our afternoon. Like, as I said, no soccer, no chess tournaments. I thought the auctioneer was like the coolest person. And in some ways, now that I am at Nasdaq, I would take it back to Nasdaq and say, I guess I wanted to make market. It's the exchange, it's where price uh, get decided, supply, demand. And maybe there was a reminiscence there, but I was not thinking about it as anything else than art is interesting and the auctioneer has an interesting role.
What do you want to be remembered for?
The impact I had on people. Um, One thing that maybe I'm proudest of in my career is the people I have mentored or that I am mentoring.
Yeah. It's a way that we get to support and help others in their journey. And one last question: what is one lesson you'd go back and tell that 7-year-old Sarah?
7-year-old,
Yeah.
stop breaking yourself. uh, yeah, I was a little bit of a tomboy, and so I broke more bones than I should have done, and every time it was like something that I shouldn't have tried. Um,
So
so
risk taker.
I don't know that I'm a risk taker. I'm actually quite conservative until I forget, which I just did recently.
Well, look, this has been a very, very insightful, enjoyable conversation. Thank you for being such an inspiring leader within the industry. Women in Leadership Global, we really wanted to start this year recognizing someone who, again, is just leading in such a thoughtful and inspiring way. So thank you for being you. Thank you for giving us an insight in what it takes to get to your level. And I know these leadership kernels are really going to create a positive and important ripple in our community. So thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate the honor.